I think you said bunionette surgery. Is that like a female version of the bunion surgery, or is that officially what it's called? They put like a little pink bow on it. Bunionette surgery.
So what happened was this pinky toe came in and this bone was protruding.
Oh, I think, for our sakes, we can say, look, knees, ankles, that kind of stuff, those things are all going to be heavily impacted by your feet. Now, one of the things that doesn't get talked about in this whole mix of things is toe socks.
We all have the trail shoes.
I like them a lot. I've used them for running myself. Yep. You have next to barefoot style shoes that are encouraging you to go on to your toes. Right.
That's always fun. Or I'll do. Yeah.
David moves around like a panther, dude.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's what it is. I couldn't figure out because I'm sitting down. But yeah, I'll like really get into it.
To keep it short, all you fuckers who've been saying that stretching is bad for you and that it's not actually going to help with injury. You because there's now some science to show that it's actually beneficial for injury prevention. PowerProject family, how's it going? I want to talk to you guys about Within You supplements, which is developed by Mark Bell. The cool thing about Within You is that it's not a crazy supplement line which has a crazy amount of unnecessary supplements. They stick to what is necessary. Whey protein, electrolytes, and the electrolytes are dope because they have amino acids and they have zinc. Then there's fasting gum. So we talk a lot about intermittent fasting on the podcast, and this fasting gum has apigenin, rutin, and caffeine, which can actually help you prolong a fast. It's really freaking cool. It was developed by Mark and Joel Green, who we've had on the podcast multiple times. So you guys got to check it out. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at markbellslingshot.com. And at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject10 to save 10% off your entire order. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes. All right, we're rolling now. Sorry.
What's going on with your feet, man? You got some bunch of electricity running through your feet over there?
What's going on with all of our feet, man?
All of them.
It's pretty dope. But yeah, well, guys, we had Graham here on the podcast, that ball of human caffeine.
He's fired up, isn't he?
He's fired up.
Natty caffeine.
But he got us all fired up because he's been here for the last month. And as he's been here, obviously we podcasted with him. We learned a lot about feet. And we ourselves have been diving into a lot of like foot stuff. And as I've been like learning about fascia and learning about the lines that start in the feet and how everything is propelled from there, I started doing a lot of things purely barefoot, started doing a lot of hopping. And to keep this short, when I played soccer as a kid, one of my private trainers for soccer, he told me, whenever you're on the field, you never go on your heels. The whole time you're playing that 90-minute game, you need to stay on the balls of your feet. Because if ever defender's coming at you, you can't be on your heels and expect to go explode. You got to be bouncy so that if he comes, you can explode back and catch up to him. Or if you need to make a quick movement away from a defender, boom, you're out, but you're never on your heels. When I stopped playing soccer, because I got injured, because of the foot surgery I had, that bunionette surgery, because of the fucked up cleats, it all comes back to the shoes. Obviously, I was in a cast for 8 months, but since I didn't play soccer anymore, I just transitioned right into weightlifting, and like my feet atrophied and turned off, and I never really realized it. But going back to what we've been doing now, it's like the bounciness is back. Like I can feel, first off, my feet have gotten bigger. My feet have gained muscle.
Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Makes me feel amazing.
Like you're not old, but to feel like you're 18, to feel like you're 16 feels pretty fucking good, right?
Even when I wake up in the morning, I bounce out of bed onto my feet. I run down the stairs. It's when an individual stops lifting for a while and then certain parts of their body atrophy, but when they start lifting again, they'll gain that muscle back very quickly.
Type deal, yeah.
Yeah, because they have satellite cells in those areas. So that muscle will come back very quickly. That's what's happening with my feet currently. It's like my feet are reverting back to what they've been able to do when I played soccer every day. And it's like everything is driven from there, but it also comes down to doing more things barefoot, wearing the shoes that we're wearing. Like, it makes me excited for a lot of individuals who haven't been paying attention to their feet, starting to do things barefoot.
I was using the one of the grippers in the gym yesterday.
What do you mean? Like the fat grips?
No, the Iron Mind. What are
they called? The Captains of Crush.
Captains of Crush. I was using the Captains of Crush, and I was just sitting there laughing because Ray was in the gym.
Ray, like
yeah, our boy Ray,
Energy Ray,
and Ray was just telling me like how you just been killing people and stuff like that. He's always talking about it. He's always talking you up, and it's really cool. But I started messing with that thing, and I'm like, this is so funny because Nsima's driving down the street, like getting his grip stronger, going to jiu-jitsu practice, and people are like, that's the last thing this fucking guy needs is for his grip to be stronger. And now you're paying attention to your feet, you're paying attention to all these things. But it seems to me like you're paying attention to all these things because it fucking sucked that you got injured in soccer because you were doing really well with it. You loved it. It was something that you really loved to do. And from injury, from stuff in your feet into cleats, you had this surgery, which I think you said bunionette surgery. Is that like a female version of a bunion surgery, or is that officially what it's called?
I actually have a picture I can send Andrew of the post, how it looked post surgery, because there were stitches on my foot.
They put like a little pink bow on it. Bunionette surgery.
But to show people on air real quick,
I think people think that bunions are gross, but a bunion is simply just like your your toe growing kind of sideways, right?
Yeah. So Andrew,
it's not like a pus thing or anything weird like that, right? It's
no. What happened, Andrew? Is this visible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what happened was, since soccer cleats are very narrow at the top. I wonder what other athletic cleats look like, because I've seen baseball and football cleats and they seem
They're
wider.
made for little white people.
But yeah, soccer cleats, those shits are narrow, and you guys can see I have a wide fucking foot. So what that cleat did to me over the years was it turned my feet like this. And
oh man, it twisted your fucking toes together.
Yeah. So what happened was this pinky toe came in and this bone was protruding. So over time, what happened was every time I put my foot into cleats, I would have wild pain here because it was just constantly rubbing against the shoe. So I go to the doctor because I'm just like, I can barely run. Like, at least I can run barefoot, but I can't stuff my feet into shoes and run. And they're like, well, we can cut off this bone and put a screw in here. And if we can shave this bone off, you'll probably have more room in your shoe. And that's what they did. They shaved the bone off that right side of the foot, put a screw in there. It took 8 months, but after the surgery, when I got back into cleats, I couldn't sprint anymore. Because if you don't run for 8 months, you're kind of fucked. So then I got cut. Then I started focusing on lifting, and now I can sprint, but it's a little bit too late. But
I don't know. You never know.
Yeah, do you still have some eligibility?
But that's the thing, man. If it sucks because those cleats are apparently made for the sport, but I wonder, like, if there were potentially slightly better cleats that are made for feet. You know what I mean?
Well, no one really talked to you about like your foot, building up strength in your foot, building up strength. Like a Kelly Starrett would have said, hey, like, let's see if we can figure out some upstream, downstream stuff for this. Let's see if we can get you a wider shoe. Like, I'm sure, like, if you really were to research it and dive in, there's probably like wider shoes. There's probably other options. Maybe even just getting out of shoes, period, for a handful of weeks, even though that would probably expand your foot. Maybe it would help your foot to be stronger, and maybe that bone wouldn't be like doing what it was doing or something like that. I don't know.
But you know what? This is the problem. Like, when I was younger, all the doctors always said, oh, you have flat feet. So they gave me orthotics.
That's rude.
So they gave me orthotics, though, when I was 16. These orthotics that would put an arch there. Like, they were high arched orthotics. So what happened because of that is, because I'm wearing those all the time in shoes, my arch isn't actually becoming stronger. My feet aren't becoming stronger. I'm just working off of this artificial arch, right? When what your feet are supposed to be able to create that. Even if anybody says an individual's flat-footed, there are things they can do to strengthen their feet and actually build an arch for whatever foot they have. And orthotics are actually fucking feet up more so than helping, like we talked about with Squat University. So it's like, it's really exciting for us, because you've been seeing massive difference.
Yeah, huge.
But the individuals in our audience that are starting to also pay attention to their feet, it's not just only going to help them gain muscle or move better or potentially get rid of pain in their knees, their back, etc. They will just overall feel stronger and feel better, because most people's feet are pretty weak.
Yeah, and they don't fit in their shoes very well.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But what I was going to bring up is like what I love about our podcast, but like a doctor told you had flat feet, and they had no other resource to figure out what exactly was going on. And then, I don't know, you're not a car. They're just like, this isn't really working right. Let's just cut the fucking thing off and then stuff it back in the same shoe. Like, I don't know. That's wild to me. Like, in the moment, of course it's not, because we don't know any better, right? It's like, well, here's the doctor that's telling me what's going on and what I need to do. And all right, I'm just going to listen to them. It's like, wow, like,
Got to get back on the field.
right. Yeah. Just stick a needle in it and get me back on the field. I'm not talking about you directly. Talking about cortisol shots and shit.
No, you knew that double entendre when you said it.
I started to say, because I'm thinking like, what was that movie? Varsity Blues?
Sounds right.
Yeah, give or take. And then I was like, oh, wait, people are going to think yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
When it comes to feet, like I think when people are talking about like these minimalist shoes, and they've been around for a while now, but we're seeing more and more companies, like, just because I'm getting more into this stuff, I'm seeing more ads on Instagram and stuff. I've even seen dress shoes and work boots that are wider. It's the whole thing is pretty interesting, and it's like, where do I start? How do I fix my feet? If your feet are currently messed up or you have any symptoms, let's say that you have knee pain, hip pain, back pain, your feet bother you. Like, those are all things to examine the feet. And some people that are really into the feet would say it's also impacting your shoulder and your neck and everything else. But I think, for our sakes, we can say, look, knees, ankles, that kind of stuff, those things are all going to be heavily impacted by your feet. Now, I don't think it's a good idea, even though I love Vivo Barefoot shoes, I don't think it's a good idea for people listening to this show to all of a sudden just go and wear those and run in them. Because there's many, many people that have gotten hurt, not from wearing those shoes in particular, but people going barefoot. There's a book years ago called Born to Run, and a lot of people got excited about that book, and they're like, I'm going to run barefoot. This is the answer. And the guy did have some answers. That makes sense. To run barefoot would show me that your body's very resilient and that your body can handle what it's supposed to be able to handle as a human being. Like, all human beings should be able to run barefoot. However, we have a lot of modern comforts that have put us in a deficit in terms of what we can handle. And so to randomly go outside and start to try to run in some shoes that have a lot less cushion than what you're used to may not be a great place for people to start. What I would suggest is exactly what Squat University said. He said, work on what you can work on and fix what you can fix. So when you go to train, when you go to lift, wear Vivo Barefoots. Or if you can possibly even not have a shoe on at all from time to time, that would be very effective also. Now, one of the things that doesn't get talked about in this whole mix of things is toe socks. But I think toe socks are fucking transformative too. I have many different reasons for that, but I really like toe socks. I think the kinesthetic of having something in between your toes, I definitely think that there's something there. And you can make an argument that if your toes have some sort of toe splay and you're aware of how your toes feel within your Vivo Barefoots, then you might even get better results. But for me personally, you guys see I've been running a lot. I've actually been running like 5-6 days a week. I run like 3 or 4 miles every time. Feels great. Recovery is like really low. My calves get like a little tight here and there. That's about it. But I've been feeling amazing. I've been running faster. I've been able to do it differently a bunch of different times where during the run, I'm running backwards, I'm running sideways, I'm just like running all over the place like I'm a little kid. And I'm also doing a lot of nasal breathing. So like tons of improvements everywhere. But what I decided to do right when I started running was let me bulk up my feet with giant fucking pads and springs. And so I got the Nike Alpha Fly. People keep asking me, what shoe do I use to run? I use a Nike Alpha Fly. Well, now I got myself, the reason why I chose the Nike Alpha Fly is because it does have a carbon fiber foot plate and it helps spring you forward.
A carbon fiber foot plate?
Yeah.
A carbon fiber
foot plate. So it launches you forward. And this was told to me by Ryan Hill, and it was also mentioned has the American record for marathons. He's like, he goes, people are going to tell you not to get these because they're cushy and this and that. He goes, go fucking get them. He's like, they're going to help you run. You're a big boy, and this is going to cushion your run. So I went out and grabbed those. Zach Bitter was in agreement. I kind of made sure there was a consensus there. I bought them. I run in them. I really like them. But now I can run in whatever style shoe I want because I've been simultaneously training my feet and fixing my feet.
Yeah.
So I can run in the Vivo Barefoots with no problem. But I do think that if I started that way, it would have been problematic. And I'm noticing sometimes on my runs, I'll hit like a twig or some rocks or some different things, which now is great because now I can just adapt to it. I can pay a little bit more attention.
Yeah.
I can pay attention to the nature and the surroundings that I'm in. And I'm actually moving faster, and I got to kind of dodge stuff here and there. But it keeps me on my toes the entire time, which I also think is really important for running. So I just want to give people some kind of context around my foot and shoe story there.
Yeah, Andrew, by any chance, can you pull up the Vivo Bear, like the I think it's the all-weather trail shoe? Because a question that we've been getting is, what shoes do you guys use for X, Y, or Z, right? Now, on Vivo's website, there is the Primus Light 3s.
That's the ones that I wear daily.
These are the Primus Light 3s. They're the Finisterre version. And I know you guys, like a lot of people have been messaging us, telling us, oh shit, they're out of stock with a lot of stuff. Well, I think we did that.
Yeah. And by we mean all of you that are listening.
Exactly.
We really appreciate you guys, putting that forward with us.
Yeah. Like you guys have bought a lot of shoes, Vivo has told us. So, that's pretty awesome. But these are the Primus Light 3s, right? They have a flat sole. They're good for the gym. I also use these walking around.
Those are insanely comfortable.
They're super comfortable.
They are now. They weren't in the beginning.
So when you say they weren't in the beginning, what do you mean?
Because like
A different version of them, right?
I'm terrible with remembering. I think it was like a Geo Shell something. I'm sorry, Vivo.
Yeah.
Like the names just don't stick. They had a little bit more cushion. They had a little bit stronger sole. They weren't so like bendy. Although they were, if you forced them to. Like there's nothing holding you back. But they just had a little bit more support, I'll say.
Yeah.
Those were actually like, I was like, ooh. Like it kind of hurt. Like if I remember I kicked a small rock and I was just like, I think I broke my toe.
I'm curious though, because do you think your feet have become, like, have you put that pair on and it's still uncomfortable?
No, I haven't. Sorry, it's been a while. I did put them on because I was gonna like do some yard work. I was just like, these are my old Vivos. Like I'll walk around in these.
Yeah.
And I took them off because I couldn't get them dirty. Like I still couldn't like commit to like having my like beaters.
Yeah.
But I wear the Primus shoes and they have less material, less everything, and I feel even better.
One thing is like because like this company's been here for a while, and I know individuals who were wearing Vivos years ago, and they're like, yeah, they're way better now.
Oh, got it.
You know what I mean? And like
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Even these Primus Light 3s fit a little bit differently than my older Primus Light 3s. So these ones are really good for the gym and really good for walking around. But the one to run in, if you guys want to start potentially trying to run in these shoes, is the Primus Trail 2, or I don't know if they have a Trail 3 now, but we all have the Trail shoes.
I like them a lot. I've used them for running myself. Yep.
And if you guys look at the bottom of that shoe, there's more stuff on it for trails and running. You won't feel as much. Like how's your experience running in it?
It's been great. And there's even like, rubber on the side and stuff. I have not gone on a trail yet with it, which I'm excited to do so later this week. I'm going to Tahoe, so I can kind of put them to the test there. But, I ran on a track like 3 days ago, and I did like a mile on the track completely barefoot. And like meanwhile a few months ago, being barefoot on the track just alone would be a little uncomfortable. Like it wouldn't hurt, but it would be uncomfortable. And some things that I'm learning, having Graham here has been I'm really grateful for him being here.
Super beneficial. Yeah,
explaining stuff, like I'm doing certain stretches and I'm like, oh man, I think I'm going to cramp. And he's like, that's good. Like this is the cramp that you're like talking about is different than a dehydrated cramp. Like this thing's not gonna, if you can calm yourself down a bit, which you can't do with when you have a cramp from dehydration, you can calm yourself down, but that fucker's gonna go and it's gonna hurt for a little while until it subsides, until you get some hydration, then you can calm down. But with these kind of cramps where you're stretching and doing different things, it's just pain for a little bit. And it's just your body, it's your nervous system getting used to these things. So what I found with the feet was I can walk on rocks if I just kind of talk myself into like, this is just pain. You're not going anywhere. Like nothing's going to pierce your foot. You're not in any real danger. It's just some pebbles on the ground. And then so you can kind of get used to it over time. Then you can kind of maybe understand like how some people can run on paths like that with no shoes. But it takes some time and it takes some practice getting used to.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, we were mentioning that one of the first things that you can do is you can just take off your shoes and go around where you want to go barefoot. If you can't do that, if it's too weird at work or too weird where you are, you can use the toe socks. Mark was mentioning those toe socks. They look a little bit weird. Like they look a little bit weird. The brand you have is Inyang, but
there's a lot of inexpensive ones on Amazon that you can just grab, right?
Yeah, an inexpensive brand that, again, Graham suggested to me and I got was Vivo on Amazon.
I need to get some.
And they're actually not like the Inyang ones are kind of high, so I don't like super high socks, but the Vivo ones aren't too high. Walking around in those, if you don't want to walk around barefoot and get your feet dirty, it's going to help you get used to. Yeah. It's going to help you get used to doing more things barefoot. And then what's going to happen over time is you're going to start changing the way you walk. If you guys remember with our episode of Squat University, one of the big things that happens with individuals when they switch to barefoot shoes is they're first off very used to, since they wear really padded shoes, striking the ground hard because the shoe will take that impact and they won't really feel it.
Right.
But then when they start walking barefoot or with barefoot shoes, they're like, oh God, I'm starting to feel knee pain or back pain because they strike with the heel, go to the forefoot, right? There's not this transfer of force between the heel, then I'm just going to call it the pinky toe area or the fourth and fifth metatarsals to the big toe and up. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you have to adjust the way you walk, or you will be adjusting the way you walk too. But one thing that's helped, and that's the picture of the surgery I had. Right post-surgery, those are the stitches in my foot. But yeah, so they cut that whole thing out, sliced off bone, stuck in a screw, which is still in my foot.
Curious, is that the same side as the knee that bugs you?
That's the same side as the knee I got surgery on, yeah. That's interesting, isn't it?
Could be coincidental, but could be.
No, I think it's absolutely.
Is that the hammy side too?
Hammy side? No, the hammy side was my left side. Where I did that hammy a few weeks ago.
Why does he have such big hammies, though? That's the real question.
They're very nice hammies.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that, guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Really nice hamstrings.
So,
we should do a whole show on it.
But who was it?
We'll just have multiple cameras on each hammy.
But who was it that came here and talked about the big toe first years ago? Was it Duffin or was it Dietz? Cal Dietz.
Oh, Cal Dietz. Yeah, he wanted you just to flick off your big toe when you're walking, just to give a little flick to the ground with your big toe. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's.
I was so confused. I couldn't figure that out. Yeah. It was weird.
No, it's interesting because.
But it was kind of the Goda mindset too, of like the heel out. It was like a little bit similar. Because it when you push off with the big toe, you start to get that little. You start to get that little arch. Yeah, you love Goda. It's so funny because there's a handful of people that they're like, "What's Nsima's deal with?" We don't have just to be very clear.
I don't have a deal. I don't have a problem.
Well, Nsima gets paid by some of the other. It's paid by Naughty Aguilar. Yeah. And it's a lot of money, though, so it's totally understandable.
Hey, man, the things that we say on this podcast, people will believe.
I know.
Like, they still don't think I eat ice chunks and sleep for 2 hours. Like, that's real.
It's weird.
We said we were joking, and we still got comments on the ice thing as we're saying we're joking. It's like, bro, don't do that. Like, fucking hell.
But real talk on the way people walk. I mean, have you actually, I'm guessing since you've been paying attention to this and you've learned this, you've been watching people walk, right?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah. I'm so judgy.
Yeah. Since I got involved with Tourette years ago, it's like ruined everything for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I look at people like they're real pieces of shit.
Yep. And what is
I'm like, look at this guy, the way he's walking. Oh my God, his son's walking the same way. I'm like, oh my God.
But what is it that you see? What do you see when they strike the ground?
I just see people walking in like these ranges of motion where I'm like, that has to hurt. Now, I don't know if it hurts, but it looks like it hurts. I see a lot of people, kind of, what did Squat University say? They're like flailing around like a monster.
Yeah, they're thudding.
Yeah, they're kind of flailing around like a monster, even just when they're walking. A lot of like people kind of striking with their heel or like the inside of their foot. I mean, it's walking, so it's like, you can kind of like quote unquote get away with certain things when you walk, but can you? Like, is this part of the reason why everything's so tight in our system and everything's so tight in our body? Just think about when you walk past somebody, when you see somebody walking and they're 20 years old and they're just like, you don't even think about the way that they walk.
No.
But if you see someone that's like 70 or 80, it's more understandable. They're going to have some, various issues or whatever, but they're kind of like hunched over. They're walking a little more careful. They're walking a little slower. Walking is like a great sign of like how vibrant you are. How resilient is your body? Like how are you walking?
Yeah, I saw a guy this morning. He was walking the way I used to walk. So his right foot was like way out here, like way out to the right, and his left was fairly straight. But he was a little bit older than me, and he was pretty thick. He was a little bit heavier. But when he would land on his right foot, it was just hard heel, and like I can see the shot go up his back, and I'm like, that guy has very bad back pain.
Yeah, these are things that I'll see when I'm walking, and I'm like, I literally want to go over there and like rub that guy's trap for him. Or like, I want to get him on the ground and put my elbow like in his back, because I know like it would give him so much relief.
Yeah.
Or they're, I see some people walking like with their feet pointed out quite a bit, and their hips are kind of forward, and their shoulders are kind of down. You just look at some of these postures, and you're just like, man, that's just. It's probably bleeding into a lot of other areas in their life. And then when we start talking about fitness, or anybody else starts talking about fitness, that's the last thing on that person's agenda, because they're in pain, because stuff hurts. They even are struggling with their walking.
PowerProject fam, this episode is brought to you by Vivo Barefoot shoes. We've been wearing these shoes for almost a year now. They're flexible. They have a wide toe box. They allow your feet to get connected to the ground, and they will make your feet stronger, and they don't look like shit like a lot of these other barefoot shoes. Andrew, how can they get them?
You guys got to head over to vivobarefoot.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to this video.
But this is the thing. The way that is typically addressed is through doing movements in the gym. Let's squat. And it's not bad to do those things.
I do a lot of rows because I'm bent over when I walk.
But think about this. What we're trying to talk about here now is like, we still train, we still lift weights, we still love the gym.
Absolutely.
But the awesome thing about this, and I think that the reason why this is so exciting, is that what we're talking about right now can fix a lot of your issues, and no gym is required for it.
Right.
Like the gym is still super useful for everything that we do. But if you want to fix your feet potentially, maybe the first step for a lot of us is just taking off our shoes, maybe putting on some toe socks if we don't want the bottom of our feet to get black, and just moving around, walking around. And initially, it's not going to feel comfortable. It won't feel good. It probably will feel painful. And when it does start to feel painful, adjust. Like there was a little bit of time where, the right underneath my big toe, I forgot what that area is called. All the foot people that are listening to this are going to be like, oh, fuck him. But the bottom of my big toe was starting to hurt a lot. So I put back on my shoes for a little bit and still just tried to walk the right way or walk lightly. My big thing wasn't just walking with like heel, fourth and fifth metatarsal to big toe, but also trying to walk lightly and almost not hearing my steps when I'm walking through a room. Right? Because initially when you start doing this, you're heavy, your thuds are heavy, right? But when your feet get stronger, you'll start to walk lighter, and you'll start to feel less stress throughout the feet and throughout the joints when you're walking. This is why it's so exciting. Like Andrew, you're mentioning, like when I see people walk, I see like, first off, their feet might be facing out, and then it's big heel strike, big forefoot strike, and then next foot. It's kind of clunky. But when I've been watching a lot of like athletes walk, and a lot of individuals who are into this walk, like they're almost like floating or gliding through a room. You don't see that level of clunkiness, and you don't necessarily need a gym to do this stuff. But if you do have access to a sled and things, this is why when Ben was here, Ben Clarefield and Ben Patrick, they've been talking about the sled. You've been talking about the sled. Sledding is another amazing tool. If you can sled with just socks on or maybe barefoot shoes on, that's another amazing way that you can start strengthening your feet.
Speaking of walking, I got big news.
Oh, God.
I have invited this individual to come on a walk with me for a long time. And he never took me up on it until this past weekend. Until, what's today? Monday?
It's Monday.
Yeah,
until
it's
yesterday
Monday.
morning. Our boy Russell walked the Arboretum in Davis with me. He walked 4 fucking miles.
Whoa! Let's go.
He
Sorry
walked
about that.
4
No, that's fine.
And all the listeners.
He walked 4 fucking miles. He's down 50 pounds. He's down that
Dude,
10%
Russell.
body weight that we've been
Holy
talking
shit,
about for a
dude.
long time.
Yes.
And It was incredible. I kept making him stop. Like he kind of wanted to keep going, and he was like trying to. I'm like, no, man. Like this is all about your recovery from this.
Yeah.
This is a long walk. When we came through the other side, when we went around this like loop, then he was open to like the stop, stopping. But I was just like, we got to make sure your feet stay good. We got to make sure your body's feeling good. But I think literally, the only thing that bugged him, his shin lit up a little bit. His shin got a little too pumped a couple times, but his feet were bothering him. That was the only thing that was bothering him.
Yeah.
So it's like, we just need to get him healthy enough to where we can start to get a little bit more health for those feet, strengthen those feet. He's already doing some things to address some of that. And in the meantime, he's working on what he can work on, and he's fixing what he can fix. But I just found that to be so motivational. And he's talking the whole way because he's excited that he's out there. I'm like, hey man, let's work on a little bit of breathing, calm you down a bit, because there's some hills out there and stuff. But yeah, it was just an incredible day. And he showed up, and I had a couple family members with me, and Graham was with me. And Graham knows him. Graham sees him in the gym. He sees Russell in the gym, but I think like nobody else kind of recognized like this is a fucking huge deal for this person to show up on this day. It takes a lot of courage. So more power to you, Russell. You're fucking doing it. You're crushing it, and we're all behind you.
His IG handle is
Russell Buddy, I think.
Russell Buddy.
Yep.
So guys, go find Russell. Give him Russell's a dope dude.
Give him a smack on the ass.
He'll love it.
Everybody likes
smack on the ass.
Yeah, we did get a question on the YouTubes. It was just on, I forgot which video, but I know it's from George Space A, and he had asked, like, he's going to Disneyland, so is it a good idea to take his Vivos? And he didn't put any context of whether he's been using them or has any experience barefoot or whatever. It sounds like he wants to go from a regular shoe to Vivo barefoot shoes for a Disneyland trip. So it's lots of walking. And so, I have an idea on the answer, but I figure we can probably just take it right now.
I would kind of say no. I would say like, hey, test them out around the house. Make sure you're good. Like make sure you're good with those. I've been around for a while, and I've taken new shoes on trips, and it's like not a great idea. But those were also shoes that didn't fit well. But I just think that this person, if they're going to walk 10 miles, 16 miles, however many miles you walk when you're at Disneyland, if you're not used to those shoes, your ankles could bother you, your feet could bother you a little bit. You want to be more trained up for it, I think, if this is a new experience for this person.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that it is new. And what I would say is the same thing, but whether it's a flight or a drive there, wear them on the way there so you can be super comfortable.
Right.
And then when you get there, possibly go back to your traditional shoes, or like have them in a backpack because they do fold up really nice.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I'd say take them to Disneyland, wear them around, and when your feet get uncomfortable, take your other shoes out and switch them, because that's exactly what happened to me for a period of time. I was doing barefoot. I was wearing the Vivos. I started to feel a little bit of discomfort in my foot. I was like, oof. So I brought out my padded Nikes that had a wider toe box. And honestly, we're not sponsored by them, but a really good other shoe to get that has a wide toe box are those Ultras.
Oh yeah.
Like if any of you guys want to do a transition to shoes and have multiple options, Ultras are a great wide toe box shoe. Absolutely. They're not as minimal as Vivos. They're comfortable because they have more padding.
Yeah,
like Mark, you can explain your Ultras better than I can. I don't own a pair.
They're super cushiony, but they also have zero drop.
And bend those shits. Bend it.
Yeah.
It still will allow your foot to do what it needs to do.
But it has what, like an inch of rubber or so?
Yeah.
Under your foot?
Yeah. So I would wear Vivos, and then when things get a little bit too uncomfortable for me, I'd go put those Ultras on, and I'd wear those for a bit. I need to buy a pair of those.
Very well designed, That's, being someone that creates products and stuff, I just, we can't have this show without being like super authentic about the great products that are around, and not just our sponsors, right? Like that shoe is a really good shoe. The Vivo Barefoot is an amazing shoe.
I fucking love them.
And I have like, I know that you guys have noticed this. I know that some of our people that are listening have noticed this. We sound like a bunch of crazy people talking about the feet all the time, but we really have noticed that our feet feel better.
Yeah.
And from the feet feeling better, we're starting to recognize the whole body feels better. And who knows, maybe this is some honeymoon period thing. Like we're all hyped up and we're excited because it's X amount of weeks into us, exploring some of this. But I have a feeling that this is going to be something that we continue to talk about and continue to promote and to share with people. We're not just trying to shill a bunch of shoes to you. We're trying to have you be healthier, more vibrant, so that you feel good every day, so that the question of how much motivation you need to go to the gym is a question that doesn't really even get asked anymore because you feel great. Kind of like if you sleep, if you get a lot of rest, you don't really need like a lot of artificial ways to summons up energy. Like you feel fucking good already. You don't need a hype song every time you work out because you have enough within you already because you feel good enough. But when pain is there, it turns all of us into a big baby.
Yeah, everything that I do now, from my groundwork that I just did before the podcast to sitting down to watch like whatever show it is with my family, like I'm on the floor. And then the way I walk too, like we go for walks all the time around my neighborhood, and sometimes I'm jumping up on the curb and then I'll jump down.
Nice.
And it's not really like, like I know you'll like have fun and play with things and you'll be like, I'm going to jump up and down this whole like, strip or whatever. Like sometimes that's just the way it is. Like we don't fit on one section and then other sections we do.
Yeah.
But when I do that, I don't remember how I did it in the past, but I know it was always something where I had to be like, oh, I have to be careful how I get down on here. Like I just got to be careful. Yeah. Now I just jump off that fucker, but I land on my toes, and it's not like a one hard like stomp and then like stomp and I'm done. Like I'll like be like twinkle toes and I'm just like tapping until I get like all the way down, and then I'm like comfortable, and then I'm walking, in a straight line. And it was just weird. Like it hit me, I think, this weekend where I was just like, when the fuck did I start doing that? Like it was just natural. Like the go-to guys didn't tell me like, oh, when you jump down from a curb, land on your toes and then, cushion your fall. Don't land on your heels. I'm like, oh, they never would have told me that, right? Because nobody knew.
You have next to barefoot style shoes that are encouraging you to go on to your toes, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, I'm just paying attention to my feet forward and landing on the outside and rolling on the inside. And it's cool. And then sometimes I'll really get into it, like David Weck, and I'll like look kind of, I'll say silly, but like, like really leaning into it the way he does. That's always fun. Or I'll do, yeah.
David moves around like a panther, dude.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's what it is. I can figure out because I'm sitting down. But yeah, I'll like really get into it, or I'll do like the like how my go-to guys
does all
showed
that weird
me
stuff with his neck and stuff. Where you're like, what are you doing?
And then I'm like, my family's probably embarrassed right now, but. There you go,
dude. I figured out some really good movements that you'll like in the gym that are kind of they're just like almost like what's fun about it is like bodybuilding movements, I got to turn everything into a bodybuilding show.
Sign me up, I'm in.
But yeah, it's some stuff to kind of tap into some of that David Weck stuff. I think just in general in walking, I do think it's a good idea for people to practice a little bit of head over foot, just moving their head, bouncing that head back and forth between the midline. It doesn't have to be obnoxious. You don't have to like go crazy with it, but I think a little bit of it makes a lot of sense. And then in other areas of your life, when you're like going upstairs, you go up a hill, people have a hard time managing some of these things because they're in pain. Just stick your head way over your foot and try to have your feet a little straighter. You'll notice that there's going to be some like shifts in like where you have pain, and you might be able to completely minimize your pain just by putting your foot, just tweaking it a certain way and just moving your body around a little bit.
Yeah, just picking up my feet correctly helps my back. Yeah. Because I'll try to display it. But like when I take a step, I take a pretty good step with my left foot, and then my right foot, I would cheat and not pick it up and just swing it around, and then it would still end up straight.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that.
So Mark was like, you're still doing it wrong. He's like, you're ending up straight, but you're not straight. So then when I actually pick up my feet and step, I was just like, oh, and like it's just weird. If I feel like a literal decompression of my back, and I was like, this whole time it was right there. It's fucking wild.
Again, to echo what Mark was saying, I know that we sound like crazy people at this point,
but just wait.
Just wait. It's gonna get worse.
Way weird.
Yeah. But like, Andrew, kind of what you were talking about with cushioning your fall. Like if you see people do box jumps, and when they come off the box, they land. I fucking felt that impact go to my lower back.
Like, you just made yourself 2 inches shorter.
I just fucked myself up right now. But like the ability to just jump and land, like using your feet, it's something that is one of the reasons why probably people are very scared and afraid of jumping. One of the reasons why, I mean, I didn't do a lot of jumping work was, number one, I wasn't jumping for a while post soccer, but at the same time, when I landed, I just felt that landing's not right, so I'm not going to fuck with this, right? And it's partially because my feet were atrophied. That's why I avoided doing certain things, including running. One of the reasons why running was painful for me, because running isn't painful for me now, but one of the reasons why it used to be painful for me, and I always be like, my knees can't handle running anymore, is because, again, my feet were atrophied. When I'd run, I wouldn't be running the right way, and there would be all these forces going to different parts of my body, and I'd feel wrecked. Well, now that my feet are fixed, I feel... You guys should get Graham's Ready to Run program, but I feel ready to run, and it's a really exciting thing because like we're feeling this and we've been training for a long time. Like we have a lot of muscle. We're individuals that people are like, oh, you're in great shape. And although we have great body composition, there was a big hole within what we were doing, which was the feet, which kind of starts everything up. And now that we've kind of started to unlock that again,
right,
everything is feeling better. This whole podcast, I've been on my heel hasn't been on the ground because I don't like it. I just feel flat when my feet are on the ground. Like I feel really fucking good. And it's wild to me that there's all these people come on the podcast and find holes in our systems, and we're like, "Oh yeah, this is amazing." But this is just another big hole that we're now plugging, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah.
You guys fuck with your feet a lot, like if you're just sitting around doing nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that. I went to see a movie with my son and my wife the other day, and I'm just like moving. I'm like, this must bother the fuck out of them. Out of the corner of their eye, they're probably seeing like my feet, like, I got to train my tibs. I got to get the toe splay going,
Yeah, I need to do it a lot more. Like I'll do it every once in a while, but because I am still like not even a white belt yet, I'm barely walking into the what's it called? The dojo? I don't know. The school. Sorry. That's what I mean. See, that's how much that's how new I am.
Dojo?
Yeah, school. Because like when I do it, like I'll start to cramp up and I'm like, bah. And then, but like after what you just said about Graham saying like, no, that's actually a good thing, then I'll just start leaning into it a lot more. But
lean into it. Like when you start to feel that, go deeper. Go deeper. It's going to be really cool when we're able to talk about the isometric things that we were talking about yesterday. Because as I was doing that, just so you guys can get a quick idea of what we're talking about, I was listening to this lecture with this guy, Dr. Robert Schlepp. Graham sent it my way. And he was talking about how, I think it's called the Berlin method of training. But these individuals, if you flex your calf as hard as humanly possible and do like hold it for 5 seconds, like as hard as possible. First off, you'll probably feel it starts to cramp up, so you'll avoid it, but lean into it. Do 5 reps on the other leg. Do 5 sets of 5 reps. That has actually been shown to increase the stiffness and the strength of the Achilles tendon. This is without load, right? And then it had me wonder, okay, so what happens if I just start to do that with all the muscles on my body? Do that with my hamstring, my quads, my biceps, my triceps, my pecs to an extent. Like, I wonder how that might have an effect on different tendons and different joints. And that's something super cool that I'm excited to just try to dive into and find professionals who know a lot about that, because you've been talking about isometrics for a hot minute.
Yeah, I think like, even like just flexing your hands as hard as you can, your extensors. Like I kind of wish that somebody would have told me when I started this whole thing of lifting years ago that like my arms are going to be like partially like flexed all the time with just about every exercise. Like, and your fingers, right? Like everything, all the weights are like, they're always in your fingers. I mean, I guess there's like some exceptions sometimes, like an overhead press. Maybe you don't have to squeeze the bars hard. It's like different than a row or something like that. But, all these muscles on the inside of the forearm get worked a ton.
Yeah.
And then all these other muscles on the other side don't get worked much. And so it's like, well, it's understandable that like you're going to run into some elbow issues. It's understandable you're going to run into your wrists being like weak or stiff or some things like that. But like, just imagine if you just practice like flexing your hand, like opening, like spread your fingers as hard as you possibly can and try to do that for, 5 seconds or so. It feels nuts. Like, it just feels like...
Feels good.
Yeah, it feels good. And it feels like that you, like, some of these body parts feel like I have no connection to them. You know, like we were doing the tricep one.
Yep.
Even flexing your calves. When you texted me first, I was like, shit, man, I suck at this. Like I wasn't able to like get them to flex as hard as I wanted.
Yeah.
And so I kept practicing, and then I was like, okay, now I can get it. But you're going to find that like it's actually really difficult and really challenging to flex something as hard as possible.
Do you know the cool thing though that was happening? And I mean, I did that again this morning. So like now part of my morning routine is just isometric holds of every single body part that I can manage. And it loosens me the fuck up. It's crazy. But the cool thing is that as you like the calf, right? The first few sets you do it cool. But on your last set, it's like you can get when you're flexing, you get into a deeper part of your calf. Same thing with the hamstring. Doing an isometric flex as hard as possible starts off where you're getting some of it, but towards the last sets, it's like you can feel a deeper part of the hamstring start to activate. And then as you do this on a daily basis or every other day, however you guys want to do it, just test this out for yourselves. You'll start to feel deeper parts of that tissue. Like your proprioceptive feedback from that muscle, or I don't know if it's proprioceptive or interoceptive, whatever. But as you start to flex, you'll be able to get deeper parts of that muscle firing. It's crazy.
So just body weight and feet forward?
But what do you say body weight and feet forward? What do you mean?
Like to flex the calf?
Oh, to flex the calf. Like can you see me on camera?
Barely, but not
Yeah,
really.
kind of whatever way you can do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever way you can do it. Like
could do
that's
it.
how I flex my calf.
Oh, I thought you were like literally like standing and getting up on your tippy toes.
That was my
bad.
hamstring.
Got
My
it.
hamstring, I'm flexing like this, but my calf, this is how I flex my calf as hard.
Oh God, hold on. I got to get the camera on that.
Yeah, you can just push your toes into the ground as hard as possible, or you can actually do like a standing, you know.
Do you want me to do it here? So this is the way I was doing it. Like I was like here.
Oh, nice.
Whew, actually got to calm that down. Yeah, but it's
Yeah, well, the way you're doing it is great because you don't have any pressure on that foot, and it's like you displaying like being able to move your ankle really well too.
yeah. So
Get in front of the table a little bit. This is going to be great.
okay.
And then lift up.
Okay.
All right, yeah, go for it.
This is funny. So when I'm flexing my flexing my calf literally as hard as I can, I can feel every part of it activate, and then I relax, loosen it up, and then I'll do another like 5 to 10 seconds trying to get. And as I flex longer, I can feel deeper parts of my calf activating, and then I relax it. And doing that 5 sets of 5, like my calves get sore, but then helps with the Achilles tendon.
Right.
But then you think about all the other muscle groups that helps with. So it's really cool. These things that, again, you don't need to do this in a gym. You can do this when you wake up. You can do this when you're watching TV. You can do this whenever.
Yeah.
But it's going to be beneficial for your body over time.
It's crazy.
Oh,
Your
100%.
calves have a six pack. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is really exciting, dude.
I love it.
Yeah, what's the beef against isometric stuff? Like I've heard
Beef.
Yeah, like I've heard a lot of
It depends on what somebody's like, what they want to kind of do with it, I guess.
Okay.
I would imagine like the hardest thing about an isometric is it's probably fairly hard to like study.
Yeah.
Hey, flex as hard as you can. Like, okay.
Okay.
It's like maybe you don't know how hard somebody is flexing or what their recruitment level is. So we might test a bunch of people and it might be like, oh, it turned out to be pretty worthless. But maybe like those athletes don't know how to flex that area that well. There's so many different types of isometrics. I know Josh Bryant uses a lot of isometric type work in his training.
With load, correct?
Yeah, with weight. You can also like, push against stuff, but that's weird too, because like it just always feels like you're gonna get hurt, is what it is. That's, to me, that's always what it felt like. But the way Josh Bryant would do it, he would have you push weight in like a rack and you would push against pins and you would have some load on the bar, say like 30% of your max or something. That way, and I thought that was smart because then you had got some sort of reference point, and then you would push into the rack as hard as you could in a given position, maybe a position where a little bit lower than where you're weak in, say like a bench press or something like that. And you would do about a 5-second contraction, and then you would go do a regular set. And you went and did a regular set. It was weird. Like you felt so strong.
Yeah.
But you're also like a little bit fatigued because of the amount of time that you did the previous movement for. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do to like wake up your nervous system. And even with Nsima like flexing his calf real hard, it's like once you get done with that, flex the tibialis as hard as you possibly can. And now you have the opposite contraction, but now you're stretching the calf,
Yeah.
So and there's tons of weird shit. Like we need to have more people on that can tap into these weird things because there's stuff surrounding doing stuff for your tibs before you do like a vertical jump. It's supposed to give you more access to like your glutes and hamstrings and stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff. We just got to find the right people and make sure it's not too like weird, you know, because you want to make sure that it's you want to make sure it's effective.
Yeah,
you know?
just
We don't want
weird
it to be,
enough.
Yeah, we don't want it to be bullshit.
Yeah. With biomechanics, I guess the beef was like if you're going to do an isometric hold, you're only going to get stronger in that one spot.
Oh, yeah, that could be true.
But
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but my argument to that was like, let's say in my bench, if I always fail right here, like let me do an ISO hold right there, so I'm strong as fuck in that one position. I don't know if that's how it works, but like
no, it is how it works. You know, we gotta always remember all this stuff is, except for like the way that the human body like moves. Everything is completely made up. Like lifting weights is made up. It's all fake. Like no, Nsima, you're supposed to do it this way. There's ways that you might want to caution somebody. Hey, I worked with a lot of people and I saw a lot of different people get hurt doing it that way. So we might want to be cautious as to not do it that way. Hey, I worked with a lot of powerlifters. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, lift a little bit more this way. And they had good results with getting stronger. Doesn't mean there's not other ways. And it doesn't mean that someone could say, hey, offset your feet, you know, have your left foot in front of your right foot when you do all your squats. And then maybe the next, you know, do that for a few weeks and in the next couple of weeks, switch that up. And then when you go back to your regular stance, you'll be way stronger. Like there's, people can like come up with all kinds of different things. I think a lot of times we're just going based off of what we've seen, how it's worked, and maybe a little bit of the science and what some of that says, and then say, all right, well, you would be good to like stay in this zone here.
Yeah. The science is a fun thing though, huh? You guys heard what I told you guys about the stretching thing yesterday, how pumped I was?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not even going to talk about that right now. But to keep it short, all you fuckers who've been saying that stretching is bad for you and that it's not actually going to help with injury, fuck you. Because there's now some science to show that it's actually beneficial for injury prevention.
We need to get Tom Platz on this show. Does anybody know Tom Platz
on the show?
Yeah. Anybody know Tom Platz? He used to stretch all the time in between his squats.
But this is the thing, like this is the really cool thing. It's like we don't not pay attention to what people talk about in terms of the science on the show, but we do shit. Like people want to spout papers without actually fucking doing it. There are some really popular individuals who have like kind of talk shit about stretching, but they just power lift.
Right.
And you can understand, okay, you power lift.
It's going to make you weaker.
You're focused on moving 3 movements as heavy as possible. You move like shit as a human, but you're focused on moving those things. And then you go and you tell people that stretching's bad for them. Go do some movement or go do a sport and see how well that works for that individual. So it's like we hear things, but we also try it out and see how it actually is beneficial. For a lot of people that do stretch out there that are athletes, they're like, oh, wow, fuck, I feel better than ever. But because it's purely anecdotal, people discount it. It's the slightly frustrating thing with that's why I have a frustration with science, because there are people out here doing the things and reaping benefits, but the science is saying the opposite. Then you're like, well, the science says this. But they look like they're doing so good out there.
Sometimes there's also not that much science on certain things that do work really well, and for whatever reason, there's just not science behind it. But like, I think about like strongman athletes. It's like, where's the science behind some of that madness? You know, like that shit is fucking crazy.
It is.
The weights that they use, they're too intimidating. Like the weights that they use, the base weights that they use are too heavy. They're so heavy that it was even intimidating for me to ever even explore it.
Like the yoke?
I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, I'm not going to fuck with, the yoke that we have here in the gym, it only weighs 185 pounds. But only weighs 185 pounds. That's a lot of weight to fucking.
Yeah.
You know, there's a dude in here that comes in here on the weekends that he's had like 3 plates on each side. He's walking around with like it's nothing. I'm like, I'm such a
3-3-3-3.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. He's
Fuck
a fucking,
that, dude.
He was in here yesterday and he was like doing box jumps off of his knees. Like he was on his knees and then he was like jumping onto a box.
Who is this man? Have I seen him before?
I don't know. I don't know if you've seen him before. I forget what his name is, but he
he
has
the white guy with the sons?
He has tattoos on his neck and some on like his face and stuff. And he came in here with his girlfriend yesterday, and his girlfriend's flipping the tire like a beast. I mean, she was doing unbelievable with it. So they're both really fucking strong. I'm like, dude, you're a savage. He's like, no, I don't even know what I'm doing.
That's
I'm
great.
Like, that's the best part about it, I guess, is that you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, just a quick recap, Mark, to get into wearing barefoot shoes safely, maybe start barefoot, get yourself some toe socks. You can get yourself the Vivos. The Primus Light 3s are great for the gym, but if you do want to run with them, the All Trails, Ultras are a great shoe to wear if you want to wear them, but also they're a great backup shoe.
I'd say also train your calves and your shins, just like our boy Ben Patrick, teaches us, some sled dragging forward, backwards, some calves, some shins. Like, you don't need to go crazy with it all, but just lean up against the wall and like lift your toes up a bunch and throw in some calf work wherever you can. Some people like to do them right after they do leg press because it's just there and they can do it right away. But just mix in some of that shit. Your feet and your calves and your whole lower body will thank you for it.
If you revisit our episode with Graham, you'll see that we talked about the hand-foot glove in that episode.
That's a big one.
That's a big one because and the toe spacers that you're wearing right now, what are they called?
I think they're called like correct ones or something, or correct toes. Correct toes. There you go.
I need to get myself a pair of those too. I saw you wearing those around your house because now a lot of people are interested in toe spacers, but not all toe spacers are created equal. The ones
These
that
are
Mark
easy
wears,
to get on, and they're simple, and it has a little bit more space for the big toe. It kind of will, stretch the big toe out a little bit more.
Again, we don't have a code or anything. It's just a great product that can be really beneficial for you guys that are trying to get into strengthening your feet.
Absolutely.
So the correct toes. And if you guys have any questions about any of this, hit up the Discord.
There you go.
Hit up the Discord because we're in there. Or hit us up here in the comment section. We'll try to help you guys out. But we're excited. I'm excited.
I got to figure out who the striking coach is. There's some MMA striking coach that is all about the feet. I forget which guy it is.
How do you feel about the post? The Supreme Ultimate Fist that we posted up? Did you see the comments?
Oh, no, I didn't see it.
You didn't look at the comments after you posted it?
No.
Dog, we were getting roasted.
Oh, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay,
I know,
okay.
Kieran was
There
like,
he
nope.
is. Like,
Kieran, yeah.
what does he know?
Oh my God. What do you think about that, man? Because it made me I was punching the bag with it straight up. And I was like, this feels really strong. And I've punched this bag with just my bare fist before and my wrist would be going everywhere. But it feels great.
It felt good when he showed it to us, but I don't really know. I mean, I haven't really punched a lot of stuff, especially more recently. I used to box a long time ago, and I did it for a year or two. But yeah, I don't know. It felt good to put your hands that way. I don't know. He's kind of saying he thinks people should run that way and stuff. I don't know. Sometimes, look, a lot of people that come up with great ideas, great inventions, they're misunderstood for many, many years.
And
Very true.
They think of a lot of things. David Weck, guys, please go check out David's YouTube channel, right? Because there's a lot of stuff there that's going to be super helpful, especially for the things that we're talking about. But David Weck's mind is an amazing thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because there's there's so many things that he's on and he's ahead of in terms of people. Doesn't mean that everything is necessarily right, but it means that the guy's coming up with a lot of great ideas and theories that are working well for people right now. And some theories might not be the ideal, but understand that it's a blessing to have certain people in this industry that are thinking outside the box from what everyone is doing that seems normal and right. A lot of those things can be improved, and people like him are improving upon what we already know. So check him out.
I agree 100%. Andrew, take us on out of here, buddy.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. Sincerely appreciate that. Please make sure you guys like today's video and drop us a comment down below, and subscribe if you guys are not subscribed already. Follow the podcast at MB PowerProject all over the place. So that's TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. Nsima, where you at?
Don't forget to check out the Discord. The link is in the description for that. We have over 700 Discord members, getting to 1,000. And we're going to be doing a Discord Q&A soon, but the Q&A probably already happened by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah.
So it'll be too late. But when we do another one, you guys will know if you're in the Discord.
Or just, go to the Discord right now. There's a chance you can still be a part of the Q&A.
Maybe.
Yeah.
At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube. At Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark?
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.